going south this afternoon. Southbound 141 still backs up north of Big Bend to Valley Park, Gravoy Bluffs, all the way down to 21. Southbound 170 backs up bumper to bumper from Olive most of the way to 64. Westbound 64 Kings Highway to McCausland is on the brakes. It's slow. Lindbergh to 270 most of the way through the valley, and Lake St. Louis out to 70. A little better out west finally. Southbound 55 Arsenal down through Bates. You've got the usual delays. South of M down towards Z is pretty busy. Westbound 44 downtown between the Arch Grounds. Between the bridges, you've got delays. Westbound 70 bogged down past the airport. A little busy at 370, then A to Z in Wentzville, and westbound 64 jams approaching 158 midway into Greenmount. I'm Roger Brand at the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call SNL 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
News, traffic, and the latest from the world of sports. This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Great to be with you on a Thursday here on Rush Hour Sports. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler hanging out with you. And it's not many days, Matt, where the number one thing on our list is going to be the NBA. But the scandal that hit that league, the story that broke this morning is massive.
It
Absolutely
is, and more details.
Massive.
Yeah, more details are continuing to come out. Like early today, it sounded like the Chauncey Billups part of it was just these backroom poker games, and now it sounds like Billups might have been just as involved in telling bettors who might be available and not available in games. So it is by the minute, it is getting worse, Kevin.
Yeah, so the three guys arrested. You mentioned Chauncey Billups, head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, NBA champion, Hall of Famer, right? I mean, this is a guy that did a lot, made over $100 million as a player in his career, and has been a head coach now for a bit. So, and I know he did other things, Matt. I mean, when he I don't know if he still is, but at one point at least, he was part of an ownership group that owned like a chain of pizza places, and a couple of them actually opened here. I'm forgetting which one it is, but it's basically the kind that are like your pizza version of Qdoba or Chipotle, where you go up, you order it, they put it in the oven, you pay for it, and you get it, and you sit down.
Oh yeah.
That's that kind of place. I don't remember which one it is, but he came when I was on a different place, came and sat in studio with us for a half an hour and was talking about the new venture and talking about his NBA career. Like, it's a guy that has been media friendly. He's worked in the media. He's a head coach, and he is neck deep in this FBI investigation. The poker game that you mentioned was these are all allegations from the legal documentation we've seen following the charges, right? This is all what the FBI, the government, is alleging. That Chauncey Billups was part of an illegal poker game that involved the mob, and they listed the 4 New York mafia families. It's like straight out of a movie, right? It's the Bonatos and the Genoveses, and it's like, oh my God. And apparently what they did was the way it was put in the paperwork that I saw and the reporting that I saw was that Chauncey Billups and a guy named Damon Jones, who's a former NBA player, were kind of like what they called the face cards. So they were there to basically draw in other famous money people or rich people as kind of like this legitimizes the game that these famous people are there, right? That these guys that people would know are there. And then it was a rigged poker game where they had like x-rays under the table that could see the cards when they had them face down, and special cameras everywhere. And they had marked cards where, with a certain type of contact lens, you could see which cards were which. And they were basically ripping people off. And according to the allegations, Billups and Damon Jones were a part of that. As you pointed out, there's now information coming out. I saw Brian Windhorst talking about this, that Billups was also in on trading information with bettors as to player availability. Damon Jones is accused of doing that while he was with the Lakers on LeBron James and maybe Anthony Davis as well. And then you've got Terry Rozier, who is a current player for the Miami Heat, and he was accused of telling a buddy, I guess, a gambling friend, hey, I'm going to go out of tonight's game in the first quarter with an injury. I'm going to be injured tonight. And and that guy sold that information for $100,000. And then all these bettors put down like $250,000 on various prop bets that involved playing time and points. all but taking the under, and they all win. And man, is this a big problem for any sport. This is a huge problem for a sport.
It is, and I've got a few things. First off, I covered Chauncey when he was with the Denver Nuggets. I covered the Nuggets on a nightly basis in my job, so I was in scrums talking with Chauncey a lot, and he and his family are a pillar of the Colorado community.
I know,
his
man.
brother Rodney was an assistant coach, I believe, at DU for a long time. I mean, and he's always had just an incredible reputation. So this was when the information came out today and it included him. First off, I was shocked.
Yeah.
On the poker game thing, I just feel bad for those people who were brought in. I saw a video today of like how it works when you put on the glasses and you can see the marked cards, and it's crazy that could happen. From a sports gambling standpoint, this just can't happen, and I think it probably happens more often than not. You know, Kevin, if you're an NBA player and you're playing kind of in a meaningless game, and you've got a member of your family or a really close friend, and they're going through some money problems, what stops you from saying, hey, take the under on me coming up on Tuesday night? Like that is a way to like help somebody. And I hope it's not sounding like I'm saying that's okay. It's clearly not okay. But it is something that I think happens more often than not. Now, when it gets to a point where a ton of people get that information, then it gets flagged. And this is actually, there's going to be a lot of people who take this story as a reason why sports gambling being legal is a bad thing. I would take the exact opposite on this. By sports gambling being legal, the sports gambling companies, they're able to flag this.
Yeah.
So if sports gambling is completely illegal, it's going to be a whole lot tougher for these, third-party bookies and the people who are doing things under the table to be able to find out this is going on.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that happened in baseball with Emmanuel Clase. What these companies see, this irregular betting activity.
Yes.
And the first thing they do is they go to the league, and then the league starts investigating.
Yeah, and then they also alert authorities when they think there's something going on. And I think that to me, that's the broader conversation. We'll dig into that in a little more depth in the next segment too. But, unfortunately, we're in a time now where you're not allowed to have a rational reaction. And so many of the reactions I'm seeing are even from people that are legitimate people, right? Not just trolls, but like legitimate people. Like, see, this is what happens when you let gambling in. Like, no. You don't understand. If this was people betting with bookmakers off the books illegally, nobody ever finds it. Right. It never comes to light. But the reason this got caught is because the people placing the bets were using the regular legal means of placing bets. And I think you said it so correctly. It got caught because it was done through the betting itself, not the passing of information. That's clearly, what don't we call it? Black market. That's clearly, below the table.
Yeah. But
the only way these patterns would have been seen, and this was true of every one of these cases we've seen here lately, from Class A to there was another basketball player that was tied in. Like for anybody, Porter. That's what it was. It was Jonte Porter. That anytime any of these things are detected, it's because it's being bet on in a public place where they can go, wait a minute, why is Jonte Porter getting this percentage of bets on this game when he's not really that big of a factor? Why is this happening with the Rozier? Why is this happening with the Lakers or whatever? And that's the kind of stuff that it only gets caught if there's public record of the bets.
Yeah, the gambling companies, they have a vested interest in this not happening because it loses them money.
Big time.
So they'll get involved. And then you mentioned it. I mean, the other things, when we're talking about the mafia and the poker games, and we're talking about inside information, that goes past the gambling companies, and that's where the FBI gets involved. And this is Eastern District of New York series.
Yeah.
Like this is the real thing. The Chauncey Billups, if everything that they're saying is true, Chauncey Billups is going to jail, and a guy who is a basketball Hall of Famer and has that jacket is probably never going to be able to walk into an NBA arena for the rest of his life. That's
going to be true, I think, whether he goes to prison or not. And his best bet for getting out of jail might be somehow to give something up. I don't know if he has any information, but if he could turn in a bigger fish somehow, maybe that's his ticket.
I think he is the big fish because
I don't think
when
so.
you
I think the people in the mob family, because this was resulting of an investigation. Well, at least the poker game was the result of an investigation into the mob activities by the FBI.
I think Porter gave up Rozier and some other people, though.
Okay.
So this is because his name has been mentioned a couple times in all of this. So I get the sense that Porter may have, dimed some people out, for lack of a better term. Yeah. So, but you're right. When it comes to the four families, there might be some information that Chauncey might be able to use.
Then again, he may want to hold on to that information.
Chauncey Billups might be a mechanic in Hoboken, New Jersey, under witness protection if he's not careful.
Well, we're going to talk more about the other angles on this because yes, that's a big story in and of itself, and it's horrible for the NBA. But as you mentioned, Class A, the same kind of thing has happened, and I want to explore more why we immediately jumped to the legalized betting being at the root of this when it was happening before betting was legalized. First of all, do we not remember Pete Rose? And just because only one guy got caught doesn't mean only one guy was doing it. There have been all kinds of these things over the course of time. Why do we make that leap? And also, is there maybe something that the leagues are going to take issue with? And I'll explain what I mean when we come back. It's Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here on Rush Hour Sports on KMOX.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October,
Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, Rush Hour Sports with Matt Pauley and Kevin Wheeler here. Obviously, rolling through today. I want to continue a little bit more, Matt, building off of this the gambling scandal in the NBA. And as we point out, these things are bigger than just the NBA. We've had baseball had its own issues. Emmanuel Clase, I've seen some people report lately, Matt, may never pitch again. He's probably done, is the way that I saw it phrased. And that's one of the top closers in the game. And he wasn't throwing games. Right?
No.
None of these things are about fixing outcomes, which is really hard to do. It's hard to do with one person, first of all. And it's hard to get away with because it's there's so many eyeballs on a game. But if you're talking about like with the Rozier stuff where you're going to tell your buddies, hey, the accusation against Rozier is, hey, I'm going to go out of this game tonight with an injury in the first quarter. And they can all bet all the unders on all of his totals. Well, now they all win because he's not going to play enough. And those types of things are easier to manipulate from the outside.
And bluntly and honestly, if you do that to a point where it doesn't flag the sports betting companies, right. If you've just got a buddy who wants to make $1,000 and they happen to go bet a random $1,000 on the Terry Rozier under, it's never going to get caught, Kevin.
No,
never going to get caught.
It's when it gets passed around, and that's what happened with the Rozier thing. It was he told a guy, and that guy sold the information to a group of people, and those people went out and made a bunch of bets that made them a lot of money. So yeah, it's a real problem for sports in general, but I don't know that it's. I mean, it's certainly not worse because things are upfront and legal. Although I think the sports have to be even more cautious than they've ever been. And I think more harsh on violators than they've ever been. Although most of these sports have a pretty hard rule, right? If you get caught doing this stuff, you're done. You're gone. See ya. You're never going to be a part of our league again.
Yeah, baseball's been that way for a long time. We all know that betting on baseball is worse than doing a lot of things that put you in jail. So, from their rules perspective. But I if you don't think sports betting has been going on illegally everywhere, I had a buddy
nonstop.
I couldn't believe this. I had a friend, and I had a friend who did it and illegally in
bet with a bookie.
But he showed me the website. The website looked like it was a FanDuel or a DraftKings.
I see. Yeah, it was well done. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the website. I'm like, wait a minute, this is an illegal third-party bookie. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because this stuff has been going on for a long time.
Oh my God. I won't go anywhere near names, but a buddy that I worked with in sports radio years ago, he got in bad with a real bookie, like a real life bookie, and to the point where he was being threatened because he was tens of thousands of dollars in debt and he was in his 20s and did not have it. And that was 30 years ago, right? That was long before anything on the internet. That was long before anything was legal. Like I said, these personal stories, they happen, and it's important to keep an eye on it. But what I'm really getting tired of are the lazy arguments that I'm seeing is like, this is what you get when you get into bed with gambling. No, you don't understand. Again, this is not a permission to break the law or to break the rules. It's just like athletes are allowed to have beer, but you can't drink and drive. You're not getting it. You're not condoning bad behavior under the influence of alcohol because you do alcohol ads. Like it's the exact same thing. The exact same thing. You can have relationships, you can have connections. It does not give you permission to engage in illegal behavior or in behavior that compromises the integrity of your sport.
Yeah. And I said, I'm not going to repeat what I said before, but I think the fact that it's harder to get away with this stuff when sports gambling is legal. So if you're going to sit here and make the point that it is, this is a direct result of more legal sports gambling, I would argue the 180-degree difference of that. I think this happens less often because it can get flat. And you don't think that every player and every coach in every professional league and every collegiate league isn't looking at this today and saying,
wow, they got caught.
Yeah, like this is the number one deterrent to this stuff happening. When the FBI is knocking on doors and Chauncey Billups has already been arraigned in Portland, and Terry Rozier was, it was the FBI that came into your house and arrested you. Yeah. This is not a small deal.
No, and I think that, the people, I mean, there are stupid people that are going to do stupid things. That's not going to change. But our proof of the case that we're making is actually what's been happening in Las Vegas since the beginning of time. There's nobody there pulling games in the casinos. The people that are betting in the casinos are not running games. They're not doing, because the casinos would track all of that action. And if there was weird activity, just like we're talking about with these websites, if there's weird activity, they reported it. Because the one thing that the casinos want, and the sports betting apps and all of that, the main thing they want is for things to stay moving. And if they get involved, if something's infecting them, that could shut them down. So they're going to be the ones that are at the tip of the spear looking to make sure that nothing weird's going on, because that's also how they lose their butts too.
Right. And what they have mechanisms in place, because what they want is they want half of the betting public to bet one side and the half of it to bet the other side. And then they take the juice, and that's what they end up making.
They win all across the board. Yep.
Right. So that's why lines move. When too many people, when we talked about what game did we talked about Miami, Miami game last week,
Louisville game,
where the line moved like 3 or 4 points. The reason the line moved wasn't because people thought that the game was going to be closer. It was because the betting public was taking one side so much that they had to push the line
to move it,
to get the money to start coming in on the other side to get as close to a 50-50 split as possible.
All right, coming up next, we're going to shift gears and get back to baseball. We hear a lot about the third time through the order for starting pitchers. There's been a lot of work done here lately on the third time seeing relievers in a playoff series. What do you think the result is, Matt?
Not good for the pitcher.
We'll talk about it coming up here on KMOX.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families
between the bridges. Westbound 64 still a jam approaching 158, then it's slow through to Greenmount. Southbound 141, you still got backed up traffic from Helfrich into Valley Park, and 13th Street down to 21 is still kind of slow. I'm Roger Brand at the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
The Woodlands of Arnold campus offers skilled rehab, a beautiful assisted living community, and a secure memory care to keep your loved ones safe. Check us out at rspseniorliving.com. That's rspseniorliving.com.
Rush Hour Sports continues on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
All right, it's Thursday on Rush Hour Sports. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. And, Matt, we got a short sports open line coming up tonight.
We do, 6 to 6:30. We've got Thursday Night Football tonight. Interesting game, Vikings and Chargers. We'll talk a little bit more about the sports gambling deal, and then also we'll hear from Blues coach Jim Montgomery as his team matches up against Utah tonight.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. All right, buddy, let's talk a little baseball. And I mentioned this in the tease leading up to it with the World Series starting up. So I saw Eno Saris tweeting about this. A lot of other people have been digging into this now for a number of years. Since bullpen usage in the playoffs has dramatically increased, which it clearly has, in the last 10 years, it's continued to increase with a lesser emphasis on starting pitching. Although the Dodgers have kind of showed that you can still do the other thing. You just have to have those guys, right? You got to have those number one type starters. And, of course, the Dodgers have 3 of them. They have like 3 of everything. But they found that, we all know about the third time through the order in a game, that throughout history, if you go look at Bob Gibson was worse against hitters the third time through the order than he was the first or the second. He was still great. Like, it was still good, but it was not as good as it was the first and second time. So we know that repeated exposure to the same guys breeds familiarity, which helps level the playing field. And what we've seen, based on what the analysis has shown, is that it's happening now with relievers within a series. So like the third and fourth time that hitters get to see them in a series, it tends to not go as well.
Yeah, and so every team has their super high-end relievers, and while the numbers on those guys are going to come back a little bit the third time, they're fine. If you're going to go throw your closer 3 times in a series, you're going to be okay more often than not. It's the middle of the road guys, Kevin, the guys who don't have as big of a responsibility during the regular season, but all of a sudden do because you've got so much less starting pitching that some of these guys are being thrown every day or every other day, and that is a problem for the exact reasons that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And it's like, of course, like this shouldn't shock anybody.
No.
It's kind of a common sense sort of deal.
Well, here's the reason why I wanted to bring it up, because I do think it's going to eventually push teams as much as they can to maybe rethink the way that you're emptying out your bullpens, because what it really is, the guys it's really hurting, Matt, are the matchup guys, right? So lefties who face lefties.
Yeah.
Right. So that one of the things that works for those guys in their favor is that the guys almost never see them. So there's a uniqueness about them. Maybe they got a different arm angle or a pitch that a guy doesn't really handle. But if you've now seen it 3 times, so you got your lefty-lefty matchups, and we know that this lefty's going to come in earlier, this lefty's going to come in later, and they're going to come in that lane where, Freddie Freeman is hitting or Shohei Ohtani is hitting. And the more those guys see those matchup guys, the more the advantage will shift toward the hitter. You're right. It's not as big a deal for a closer, but a closer's not facing certain guys. He's facing whoever's up in the 9th inning, right? Yeah. And that's going to not necessarily be the same guys all the time. But the guys that are the matchup guys, either righty-righty, lefty-lefty, they're the ones that are getting exposed. And nobody has enough high-end relievers to cover a 7-game series without this being a factor, which means maybe you got to take your better pitchers, your top starters, and ask more of them.
Yeah, the Padres it would have been interesting to see the Padres advance because they were probably a team.
They had a lot of depth, yeah.
So but that it's hard to go find a bullpen like in the recent history of Major League Baseball that had a more stacked postseason bullpen than the San Diego Padres.
I mean, they had six leverage guys.
Yeah, that's historically great. So we can. Anytime something is historically great, we can throw it out of the conversation because it's not normal. It's not something that goes on. So when we're just looking at the normal bullpens and the way they're built, and your point is great, Kevin, because matchup guys, when they come in to match up with certain individuals, they don't come in to match up against the 7-hitter, the 8-hitter, the 9-hitter.
No.
They're coming in to match up against the big time guys,
ones,
the middle of the order. Yeah. So all of a sudden you're asking this individual who's not a closer but who happens to be a lefty, that part of your job is to get the top lefties out for the other team. Well, you're asking them to do that 3 times in a week. It's going to be pretty hard to be successful every single time.
And let's keep in mind that most of the matchup guys are 2-pitch guys that are pretty limited in what they're going to throw up there. They have one unique pitch, right? That's typically what a matchup guy is.
Yeah.
Where a
starters
starter,
if they had more.
Starters typically have at least 3 pitches. Some of them now have 5 or 6 that they mix in there, some better than others, but starters have the repertoires that are going to be better off even in a third time through in a game, as long as they're not, getting tired because of a high pitch count, versus a guy that's basically a one-trick pony who's going to be slider. Well, guess what? If you throw that damn slider 10 times to a guy over a 4-day period, he's going to start to figure it out.
He is.
So this is kind of the beauty of the ebb and flow to me of what the information age in baseball is, Matt, because the information age has said, go more relievers. And now some new information is saying, maybe we need to balance that out a little bit.
But that's okay, Kevin.
No, it's great.
We should always be learning.
Yes.
We should always take the information, and then we get a certain amount of information and we react to it. And then when we're reacting to it, new information comes in, and then we react to that. And we don't forget the stuff that came in earlier.
No, you add.
You're always trying to get better. And that's the beautiful thing about baseball, because this game has been played for over 100 years. It's really been studied from a data standpoint for the last 25 to 30, where we could, put some interesting stuff to it. And it's always changing, and some stuff's going to come back around. Some stuff is going to go further in a wacky direction, but it's great that we continue to look at this information and adjust to it.
That's Matt Pauley. I'm Kevin Wheeler. Stick around. We'll wrap up Rush Hour Sports coming up next here on KMOX.
Hey, Dave, it's Tamara, the flavor temptress, and your good friend from Clementine's Ice.
From the Science Center out to McCausland Clayton Warson, Lindbergh, Spady area a little busy. Clarkson to Top Golf, and then just approaching Prospect. Westbound Highway 70 pretty well cleared out. If you're on the Illinois side, we've still got this back up the roadwork jam. Westbound 64 approaching 158, slow after that into Greenmount. Westbound 44 still delays downtown past the bridges and a little busy at Highway Z. I'm Roger Brand in the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, back in on Rush Hour Sports here on KMOX. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you. Matt's coming up with a little bit of a short sports open line after the 6 o'clock news. 6:30, we start pregame coverage for the Thursday night football game, Vikings and Chargers. Go Chargers. Well, the
right.
Vikings are in the
You're a
NFC.
Lions guy.
They're in the NFC North. I'd rather they lose.
How do you
I don't
rank,
care about the Chargers.
How do you rank your level of hate for the 3 NFC North teams that are not the Lions?
Don't really have much of any hate for any of them specifically because the Lions have always sucked and there's never been any real rivalry.
Okay.
I mean, they're all basically the same to me anyway. And the teams that I truly hate are just they're different ones. You know, I get sick of Green Bay always having damn quarterbacks. Like they've had a really good run, man. That's like, 3 straight rock stars. And that's a 30-year run of always.
More than that.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time. The Vikings are, up and down. The Bears are up and down too. There's not a lot of hate for any of them, to be honest.
So having lived in Wisconsin, I felt like Packers fans disliked the Vikings the most.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The Bears the second most.
That might be a tie though, because the Bears-Packers thing's a big deal because, the Packers fans have their little polka song, the Bears still suck. It's a pretty good rivalry back and forth, but I'd say that those 2 rivalries, Green Bay, Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago, probably about the same. They're pretty heated.
Yeah, they are. I always thought that.
Did you get the sense the Vikings was worse?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, you worked in Milwaukee, so you were there. I lived in Chicago, and it's funny because the Bears definitely had more of the hatred for the Packers. Bears fans did. Nobody ever really cared about the Lions because for so much of time, they just weren't good enough for anybody to have that passionate hate for them. So we didn't really have that.
Well, now you can grow.
Well, now I just root against them all. Now I just hate them all because every time each one of them loses, my guys get better.
Look, you can make an easy argument that the Lions are the best team in the NFC right now.
You can. And I think there's a chance they can be that at the end of the year too, but they still they got to get healthy in the secondary, man. I mean, we saw this last year. Last year they went into the playoffs against Washington and they were missing 7 defensive starters. And you somehow, some way, they got to keep their guys on the field because they can score. Although I'll tell you, Goff is a guy that can scare you. He does not handle pressure super well. When things are going on time and all that, he's pretty good. When he's getting rushed, when things are getting hot, he's definitely not as good. So you got to make sure you can keep the running game going, and that also means you got to not fall behind because you got to make sure you're also in the game.
That is true.
Yeah. So I see the flaws. Like I think they're really good. I think they can score with anybody in the NFL. They got weapons everywhere and all kinds of them too, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown is just always open, and Laporta is always an option because he's big and he's fast and he runs good routes. Jahmyr Gibbs, guy, look, I don't know who the best running back in the league is, but Jahmyr Gibbs has to be in the conversation. Yeah, he's there with Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley and all those guys.
You look at Jonathan Taylor too.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome, and he's having a big year this year.
He is. Like right now, if I have to pick the production of a back, I'm taking the production that they're getting from Taylor. Yeah. I don't think there's any question. And look, Indy's one of the biggest surprises in the league. I thought Indy might be okay, but if you told me they were going to be 6-1 with Daniel Jones, I'd have been like, no. Yeah.
And they're the highest scoring team in the league.
They are
232 points so far.
I haven't bought them completely yet though, because when you look at who they've played, their best win this year is against Denver, and that's a game they won by 1 point. Their other wins are Dolphins, Titans, Raiders, Cardinals. Now, when they went to the Chargers and won this past week by 2 touchdowns, that's maybe their most impressive performance. Not their best win in terms of opponent, but most impressive. But I'm not quite bought in on them yet.
No, I get it. I think it's look. We're at NFL is probably the biggest hot take league in the United States. Like every week we're over analyzing, and you see too many dramatic changes in opinions of teams. We're still probably a month away from having a good vibe on the strength of the league.
Yeah.
I mean, look, teams that have been good are probably going to be good, but I'm not sold on New England yet. I'm definitely not sold by anybody in the NFC North. Pittsburgh's definitely a better team than they've been because Aaron Rodgers is better than the trash they've been putting at quarterback. But I still don't totally buy it. I'm with you on the Colts. I think it's real, but I'm not sold 100%. Denver, I thought, got overhyped before the year, but I do think they're good. But the Chiefs are way undervalued. I think the Chiefs are still one of the best teams in the league, even though they're tied for second place. I think they're going to be at the end of the year. They're going to be one of those top dogs.
Yeah, but right now they are the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl. They've moved.
This is what I'm saying, right? Spot. So the record, we got to be careful with the records because the Chiefs are 4-3, but as you point out, Vegas still has them as the favorite, and these teams are going to reveal themselves better as we go. I think Philly's definitely a real thing. I'm surprised Washington's been down, and I know Daniels has been dinged up, but I think Washington's a team that will get better as the season goes along. The North is pretty solid, so I don't know that it's anything weird about it in the NFC side. But I think Tampa's legitimately good. San Fran, I think, might be legitimately good, but I'm still not sold on the Seahawks. I like the Rams. That defense is pretty good, man. But I think we're still at least a month away from sorting some of this out.
I would agree. It's been a really fun start to the season for the NFL, though.
Yeah,
there's been a lot of good, fun, compelling games.
100%. We got one of them coming up with the Vikings and the Chargers pregame at 6:30 tonight. First kick. Opening kickoff is at just after 7:00. Have a good show. You got a little short one tonight. Have a good show tonight, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Although tomorrow, just you and Bernie. I'll be out. I got a charity event tomorrow night, so you and Bernie can take care of this, and then obviously you got Sports Up the Line after that tomorrow night too. But either way, we will probably chat tomorrow. But if we don't, have a good weekend, buddy.
Same to you.
There you go. That's Matt Pauley. I'm Kevin Wheeler. This has been Rush Hour Sports on KMOX.
In the fight against Alzheimer's, now Matt
Eastbound 70, David Hoagland to Wentworth Parkway. There's some heavy traffic there. I believe that's roadwork. Southbound 55 at Bates and Holly Hills down through the river to Pears a little slow. And on the Illinois side, you still have this backup at Jam, westbound 64, approaching 158 from there, slow to Greenmount. I'm Roger Brand at the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
1 in 4 employees is also a caregiver. The CARES program connects them with expert support, helping reduce stress, boost retention, and save your business money. Learn more at hsmart.org or call 618-222-2561, serving 7 counties in Southwest Illinois.
The fall weather pattern remains in place, though our skies will start to look a little more unsettled as we get into Friday and through the weekend. Clear skies this evening and overnight. Evening temperatures dropping into the 50s, 41 for kind of a cold overnight low. On Friday, increasing clouds. It's a chilly day. I still think it's a dry day. 50s to near 60 degrees for the high. Friday night clouds. A couple of spotty showers around, especially late night, 51. The weekend, Saturday, mostly cloudy. A couple of spotty showers, 64. A couple of spotty showers Saturday night. Sunday, mostly cloudy. A few showers around on Sunday. That's probably the best chance for seeing a little bit of rain, and it is just a little bit of rain. 62 on Sunday. We're just dealing with a slow-moving, cut-off, low-pressure system. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Right now, we've got some blue in the sky. It's 57 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready.
All day, baby.
Man, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Well, I don't have a lot of time with you tonight because we've got Thursday night football. It's going to be the Vikings and the Chargers, so we've got you till 6:30. That's when coverage begins. In a few moments, we'll hear a little bit from Jim Montgomery. The Blues are in action this evening as well. They are playing host to Utah over at the Enterprise Center, so we'll play for you some of what Coach Montgomery had to say earlier today. But I did want to open up the show today with really – it's not just the biggest sports story from a national standpoint. This is one of the biggest stories in our country today, that a number of individuals connected to the NBA, most notably Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups, who was a longtime player in the league, a basketball Hall of Famer, Terry Rozier, who is a current member of the Miami Heat, and then also a former player and coach in Damon Jones were among about over 30 people who got arrested today by the FBI. Couple different investigations. One investigation into an illegal poker ring that was connected to the mafia, and they went through the different families that were involved in it. And this seems like it's something straight out of a movie, because you had guys wearing glasses or contacts that could see marked cards. You had machines that were shuffling the cards in a certain direction. You had X-ray machines underneath tables that could see. It was a very intricate thing, and the idea was they brought in a Chauncey Billups to participate, and then the individuals they were really going after would participate in these games with the idea that they would get to play alongside of celebrities like Billups. And then those were the individuals that basically got their money stolen from them by the rigged games. So first, if all that's true, shame on Chauncey Billups, who has as good of a reputation as almost anybody. I've said this a couple times on the station today. I covered him when I lived in Colorado and when I covered the Nuggets, and the Billups family mean a lot in Colorado, and he has always been somebody who has really been held in high regard. So that's one side of it. The other side of it, and they are connected a little bit, because evidently Billups was allegedly giving information to bettors about individuals who may or may not play, or injuries, things like that. And that's the sports side of it. Like, I really, for a sports program, I kind of separate the two. The poker game stuff is really interesting, and it involves athletes, so it's certainly worth mentioning. But that's more just like the straight, normal crime, mafia, all that. The other side of it is the sports gambling side of it, and especially as we live in a time where sports gambling is becoming more and more available, there's a lot of people who have a lot of takes on this. And Kevin and I talked about this a lot last hour in Rush Hour Sports, and I'll do my best not to just repeat everything we said an hour ago, because I'm sure many of you were with us an hour ago for that conversation. Some more details have come out. This is under the category of be careful who your friends are, because we mentioned Damon Jones, and Damon Jones was a player and then a coach with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He then became kind of an unofficial coach with the Los Angeles Lakers. When Darvin Ham was the head coach of the Lakers, he asked Jones to come be part of the staff unofficially, did not get paid, but he was somebody who was part of things. And Jones had a relationship with LeBron James. He would work out with LeBron, and that was the connection to bringing Jones in to being more involved with the Lakers because of the relationship that he had with LeBron. Well, as more and more details have come out, and when you read the charges that were levied today, names are not specifically mentioned, but you can figure things out. If somebody says, a prominent basketball player who played from X to X and then has been a head coach since so-and-so, they're talking about Chauncey Billups. And there's a point where a player is mentioned who kind of fits the description of LeBron James, and ESPN has since reported that indeed LeBron James was the prominent player that was mentioned in the report. And the reason he was mentioned, not that he's involved with it, he's not, but it was that his guy, Damon Jones, was passing information around. In fact, they have evidence that had James saying in a text message to somebody to bet big on the Milwaukee Bucks when they were going to match up against the Lakers, because James was not going to play in that game, and that was not yet official information. And Damon Jones said in this text message that they have said, quote, bet enough so D Jones can eat too. So obviously Jones was taking something off the top of this, which is just a terrible look. Lakers have not commented on this at this point in time. Let me say this, because the knee-jerk reaction to this is, this is what happens when you bring sports gambling into more places. This is what happens when teams are getting in bed with the different sports gambling companies. My take on it is finding this information out is what happens. Now, there's two different things here. There's the FBI investigation into Damon Jones, and then there's the other investigation into a Terry Rozier who went out with an injury after 9 minutes, and evidently there was a lot of betting on his under. So those are different, but at the same time, if all of a sudden a ton of money starts coming in on the Milwaukee Bucks out of nowhere one night when they're going to play the Lakers, that's going to get flagged. So we want to live in a world where sports is as pure as possible, as true as we're never going to be at 100%. There's always going to be somebody doing something that they're not supposed to be doing. And it probably happens more than we give it credit for. And probably more often than not, these guys who maybe give a little bit of information to somebody are helping out a friend, doing something that is never going to get caught. And it just gets caught when all of a sudden a lot of people have the information and a lot of people are trying to take advantage of it. But I do give credit to the different sports gambling entities who flag the unusual betting activity and immediately get it to authorities and immediately get it to the leagues, because the leagues don't want this. Today's a black eye for the NBA. And when Emmanuel Clase got suspended for Major League Baseball, there's a black eye for Major League Baseball. Anytime you are not completely trusting what you are seeing as being individuals competing at the highest level, that is a black mark. That is a black mark for whatever league. And as much as it takes place, I'm hopeful that this is going to be a deterrent And I'm hopeful they're continuing to do things to try to make sure that stuff like this does not continue to happen. We'll maybe bring this back up coming up tomorrow, but right now I want to take a break because we got to hear from Jim Montgomery, the Blues head coach. Blues are in action tonight against Utah. One player back in the lineup. We'll tell you, actually 2 players back in the lineup. We'll tell you who those players are in just a moment here on KMOX.
Hey, St. Louis, the MLS Next Pro playoffs are here. Join us at Energizer Park as number 1 seed St. Louis City 2 continue their run for the MLS Next Pro Cup.
And streaming on the Odyssey app. KMOX is with you, however you listen, wherever you listen.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX. Just a few minutes left in the program for today. We're going to get out of here a little bit early. We've got coverage of Thursday Night Football from Westwood One Sports. Tonight, the matchup, the Minnesota Vikings on the road to take on the Chargers, and coverage from Westwood One Sports will begin at 6:30. The Blues are also in action tonight as they match up against the Utah Mammoth over at the Enterprise Center. Blues looking for a bounce back after a somewhat subpar performance their last time out, what was a 2-1 overtime loss against the Kings. Head coach Jim Montgomery spent some time talking with the media earlier today. Let's listen into what he had to say a bit, and we'll start with the defensive side of things as the defensive pairings have Logan Mailloux back into the lineup. He had missed some time, and when he was out as a healthy scratch, the indication was that it's just a young guy continuing to develop, and once he was back in the lineup, he would be there to stay. We'll see if that happens because he is back in the lineup tonight, and he's been paired with a veteran defenseman in Cam Fowler, and Montgomery said that it is very important for Mailloux to be able to work with someone like a Fowler just as he continues to come into his own.
It's very beneficial. Breaking into this league, I know I saw an article on Pronger, and then I was talking to actually Chris Weidman at dinner last night, and he talked about it takes at least 200 games to really understand how to manage a game. Not so much how to play it, but to manage it. It's two significantly different things, and it's much harder as a defenseman than it is as a forward. Playing with someone like Fowler, who really takes pride in being a great teammate and helping others, and he makes others better, is very beneficial because he defends and he possesses the puck a lot. It allows a partner to really watch and learn while you're playing with someone. And the two of them together skate so well and they're so long that they're going to be able to defend really well tonight as well.
We have certainly seen some mistakes from Mailloux here in the early portion of his Blues tenure. And Montgomery made the point that as a defenseman, making mistakes are a whole lot less forgiving as opposed to when a forward makes a mistake.
As a forward, you turn over the puck. You usually, if you're a winger, you have a center and two defensemen before you get the puck to the goaltender. As a defenseman, you're lucky if your partner is backing you up. Yeah, so, it's a difference of 2 to 3 players versus 1 or none. That's one thing. So the mistakes are magnified that way. You pinch a puck in the offensive zone, you don't get the puck, and forward is not backing you up. It's a 2-on-1 or a breakaway. As a forward, you dive in wrongly. You have 2 defensemen back you up. At worst, it's a 3-on-2. So, managing the game, and then forward, you turn over the puck in the offensive zone. The same thing. You got 2 defensemen backing you up. A defenseman, you try a high-end play and you turn it over. It's a 2-on-1 or a breakaway. So, just the mistakes get magnified, and the subtle great plays, finding the middle of the ice on breakouts, compared to making a play in the neutral zone to a center with speed who gets a 2-on-1, the play popping it to a center all alone and creating a 3-on-2 or something. It's not as noticeable. Sometimes it's only a 3-on-3, but you carry the puck out with speed. And we know how important it is. And that's why defensemen are so vital to the team's success, is because they start everything and they end everything.
From a forward standpoint, Montgomery did have some good news when it comes to Oscar Sundqvist.
Sonny's doing well. He's going to be a player.
Sundqvist is going to be the 4th line center. He's going to center Nathan Walker on one side and then Nick Bukestad there on the other. Montgomery was asked about Sundqvist's impact on that 4th line, and Montgomery was very quick to not just limit it to 4th line impact, but talk about impact on the overall team.
It's more what he adds to our team. He adds a warrior mentality. He's very hard to play against. He's hard in the hardest areas, whether it's walls or net fronts, offensively and defensively. And his detail, he has an exceptional defensive stick. So whether it's on the PK or it's in our own end, whether he's playing wing or he's playing down low, he kills a lot of plays. And he knows how to build our team game offensively.
We talked about this a little bit yesterday. That top line is going to be Robert Thomas in the middle of Pavel Buchnevich and Jordan Kyrou. So that group is coming back together once again. For Buchnevich, so far the stats are not totally there, but Montgomery is actually pretty comfortable with the effort that he's seen from Buchnevich, even if he doesn't quite have that luck that you would like him to have.
Overall, I thought he had a great camp so far this year. I thought he started the year off playing well, hasn't had puck luck. And I think, like anyone that's a gifted offensive player, when you don't have the production that you're used to, it gets magnified early in the year. But I know by the end of the year, he's going to be a 25 to 30 goal scorer for us with 70 to 80 points for us.
Another thing Montgomery has talked about specifically for this matchup with Utah, he really likes the way that the Thomas Buchnevich Kyrou line is able to match up against the top line of the Mammoth.
Well, because the last 2 times we played Salt Lake, that's the matchup I wanted. And in Salt Lake, they wanted it too. We won both games. So, and they were the game-winning goal in Utah. And last time we played them, I think we had 3 power play goals. So it was a little different, but still, I think the game was 6-0.
And when it comes to that top line for the Mammoth, it includes a St. Louisan in Clayton Keller, who's once again having a very good season. And he is someone who is quite impressive to Montgomery.
Just a dynamic player and, typical of an elite player in the league. He gets better every year. He seems to be off to a better start this year than I've ever seen him. He's had some incredible starts. I think he understands where he has success offensively off the rush and in zone now. He's so compatible with Schmaltz, and the two of them are off to a great start this year. So you just got to be aware of him. You got to be aware of him off face-offs. You got to be aware of him on the power play. So he presents a lot of problems just because of his dynamic skill and competitiveness.
That is St. Louis Blues coach Jim Montgomery as the Blues are in action tonight. They are matched up against the Utah Mammoth, and puck drops going to be just a little bit after 7 o'clock over at the Enterprise Center. And that is going to do it for this shortened edition of this program. Again, we are done early because we've got Thursday night football tonight. The Vikings and the Chargers from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. Coverage from Westwood One Sports begins in just a few minutes at 6:30. Back at you tomorrow for a full 2-hour program on a Friday. Enjoy your evening, and we will talk to you tomorrow for another Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX.